I have been playing video games for many years. That is something I like to tell people anytime that they find out that I'm a bit of a pocket nerd. Now, even though there is a lot of truth to that, there is a bit of stretching the truth as well. Now, don't get me wrong, I have been playing video games my entire life. Ever since I first started back on Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation 2. That game was an absolute godsend, and I loved every single second of it. And it makes me pretty happy to see YouTubers talk about it every now and then. But where does the humility lie? Well, that's easy. I'm talking about multiplayer games. And like many of you, I started off with Call of Duty, pouring thousands of hours into an empty pit that would soon be filled up with concrete by the next annual release, grinding levels, grinding camos, and spending every waking hour just absolutely grinding the game when I probably should have been grinding homework instead. But weekends passed in a dark room, and the TV being my only light source, it probably wasn't the best for my eyes. But to be honest, I loved every single second of it. Although becoming an adult does tend to change your perspective, and I had realized somewhere along the way that I had lost something that I will never get back. Time. Time to experience the games that the world had fallen in love with. Countless Game of the Year winners that I had never touched. Stories I never heard of. And worlds I had never stepped into. So, this is where things change. This is not a how many games I can beat in a year challenge. This is a moment of reflection. The time to finally be able to jump back into my backlog, to experience the stories that I had missed, and to finally give the games the time that they deserve. This is the beginning of my journey, becoming the kind of gamer that I have always believed myself to be. Now, with all of that out of the way, I believe it is finally time to start my backlog. No better place to start than what I am currently playing, and that would be Hollow Knight. Now, in case you've been living under a rock, Hollow Knight feels like diving into a lonely, beautiful, and underground world where every corner has its own quiet little mystery. The combat is sharp, the exploration is massive, and the dark style gives it a mood most 2D Metroidvanias could never reach. It's the kind of game that quietly gets under your skin, but it does tend to stick with you after. Which is why I, like many, will be adding it to my backlog list. Now, once that is finished, we are going to be moving on to the next game after Hollow Knight. That's going to be Max Payne 1. Yes, that Max Payne from 2001. Now, in case you are wondering, why did I choose that? Because it is a game I've always wanted to try. It is a sick, badass little game back from 2001. Throws you into a cold, gritty New York full of noir style and some pretty intense bullet time shootouts. The main character narrates, giving everything a very sharp, moody edge, and honestly, the story, I believe, would hit pretty hard, which are all reasons why I decided to add it to my backlog. Now, the next one I'm pretty excited about. I believe that there is a very small community that has a niche for it, but kind of the loud minority, to tell the truth. And if you couldn't guess it, Sleeping Dogs, or how many like to call it, the GTA of China, drops you into a lively, gritty Hong Kong where hand-to-hand combat and undercover drama steals the show. The mix of open-world chaos, martial arts, brawls, and a surprisingly emotional story makes it hit way harder than most crime games. Easily making its way to number 3 on my list. Now, the next one coming onto our list is going to be one within the same theme, keeping it in forward territory, and the only difference being a much larger cult following. That's Yakuza 0. And yes, before you say it, Nathan, are you crazy? There are so many games in this series. How could you even start? You'll be in your 50s by the time you finally reach the end. I don't care. I want to play this game. It looks like fun. I want to be a Japanese man singing karaoke in a bar absolutely slammed. But if you have never heard of Yakuza 0 before, it throws you into a stylish, neon-soaked 80s Japan where drama, humor, and over-the-top action blend perfectly together. The story hits hard, the side content is absolutely wild, and the characters pull you in very quickly. Now, if all of those things do not interest you, that is perfectly fine because I have no idea what will. It's something I'm really excited for, and I can't wait to give it a try. I can easily say that my next entry is going to make a lot of you very happy. And what I mean by that is those Tolkien worshippers. That is right. My next entry is going to be Shadow of Mordor. Something that is still talked about today, made back in 2014, it looks like a brutal, fast-paced dive into Tolkien's world, with fluid combat and that nemesis system that everyone still talks about. The mix of open world exploration, orc rivalries, and dark fantasy vibes make it feel like it's something that I've always wanted to experience for a pretty long time. Now, I want to take a quick pause. We've gone pretty far, but I do want to go ahead and answer a question that I believe will come up. What about the sequels? What about Shadow of War, the Yakuza series, or even the Max Payne series? Something I do think about all these games is this is what kind of brings you into those worlds, something that gets you really excited for them. And to tell the truth, depending on how these games go, I'm more than happy to jump right in. I already own pretty much the entire Yakuza series, Shadow of War, the rest of the Max Paynes, and pretty much everything else that I'm going to talk about I already own. It really just depends on how it goes, and I'm more than happy to dive in, get a lot further, and really clear up those backlogs. But at the end of the day, I do have to finish up what I already have in my backlog, and I think that it takes a lot of time to get through all those things, but once everything is said and done, I'm more than happy to make my way back and really get back into it. Now, let's get back to the video. Now we're going to throw something old into the mix. Something that I kind of went back and forth on and didn't know if that's something I wanted to check out, but I have seen many reviews for it, so why not give it a try? And I'm talking about Psychonauts. Psychonauts looks like a pretty weird, creative trip through people's minds. It's filled with humor and charm and that classic Double Fine style that a lot of people like. The mix of platforming, wild imagination, and some pretty genuine, clever storytelling makes it feel like it's something I personally need to experience. Now we're going to transition into something a little bit newer. It's something that I've never seen before, but I've always wanted to get into point and clicks. You may have not heard of it either, but it has some pretty fantastic reviews. And I'm talking about The Drifter. Trying to not spoil it for myself, The Drifter, made in 2023 by Powerhoof, looks like a gritty, pulpy mystery with a slick pixel art style and a tense, supernatural edge. It's a mix of point-and-click storytelling, noir atmosphere, and that on-the-run vibe makes it feel like a short, sharp experience that I personally don't want to skip. None of you know me IRL, but if you did, you would know that I am an absolute sucker for these types of games, and that is why it's made its way to this list. For the next game, we are going to be moving into pretty much around the same thing of being fairly weird, but at the same time having some genuine storytelling. And that game's going to be the Felvedek. Felvedek looks like a strange, dark, and oddly funny journey through a twisted version of medieval Slovakia, mixing gritty folklore with surreal lo-fi charm. Its weird characters, unsettling atmosphere, and unique RPG style makes it feel unlike anything else. Now I think it's a pretty good idea to keep it flowing with the weird and very unique things. The next game coming up is going to be Crow's Country. Crow Country is something that I had obtained a long while ago, and from the looks of it, has a pretty moody PS1 style survival mystery with that perfect mix of nostalgia, tension, and some weird small town secrets. Its retro horror vibes, puzzles, and eerie atmosphere makes it feel like something I'd probably regret skipping. Now this next one is going to be something that many people claim to be the greatest game in the franchise. I've yet to play it myself, mainly because of all of that multiplayer gaming in Call of Duty, but I'm finally going to be giving it a try, and that is going to be Far Cry 3. Now you may be wondering why I decided to go straight to Far Cry 3 without hitting number 1 and number 2. Well, that's easy to answer. It looks like a wild, chaotic trip across a dangerous, tropical island where the stories, the villains, and the open world freedom all hit pretty hard. Its mix of survival, mayhem, and some pretty unforgettable characters makes it feel like a must play. And do not get me started on the greatest villain ever created, from what I've been told. Next is going to be something that people claim to be one of the greatest RPGs of all time. Something that I have never touched before, nor have I seen any gameplay on it, but I'm more than excited to throw it onto my list. Fable. Fable looks like a charming, quirky fantasy adventure where choices actually shape your hero, and the world reacts to everything that you do. It's a mix of humor, storybook charm, and some classic RPG elements, making it feel like something I probably should have missed. Now this next one is something that I have been very excited for quite a while now. I have had it inside of my game library without even touching it, not a minute on record. It is a game that came up as runner-up for Game of the Year as well as Best RPG. After playing the first game, the biggest thing I said was, man, there should be a couple of quality of life updates. And they delivered. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 looks like an incredibly deep, realistic medieval RPG that builds on everything that the first game did. Huge open world exploration, gritty first-person combat, and a story grounded in brutal 15th century Europe. With rich historical detail and plenty of expansions and updates planned, it feels like the kind of experience that I have been curious about since it was first announced. You guys have no idea how excited I am to be able to get my hands onto Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I've been waiting a little while to make sure that everything is tweaked, updates are done, and making sure that it's a very clean and smooth transition to a game that I have been anticipating for a very long time. I'm more than excited to share it with you guys, and I can't wait to make a review on it. Now, following up on reviews, I do plan on playing all of these games, but as well as going over everything that I thought about it, and if I even recommend it to some of you guys. If you do plan on wanting to see something like that, please feel free to hit the subscribe button, like the video, and leave a comment down below letting me know what games that you would like me to check out. Back to the video. Following up on indie games, there is another one that stuck out to me. After watching a couple of YouTube videos recommended, I noticed that it is something that quite interested me. So we are going to be jumping next into Hyper Light Drifter. Hyper Light Drifter, made back in 2016, feels like a moody, worldless journey through a broken, neon world where every area hides something unsettling and beautiful. Its fast combat, haunting music, and minimal storytelling gives it a vibe that's kind of hard to shake. This next one is going to be something that I am very excited for. I have had it in my game log for a while and I have yet to touch it. It does move back into that horror, so we are taking a step back, but to be more specific, a little bit more of the psychological horror. This next game is going to be Faith. Faith looks like a terrifying, minimalist horror trip that somehow makes simple pixel art feel genuinely unsettling. Its exorcism theme, creepy atmosphere, and rotoscope-style scares give it a unique edge you don't see in modern horror. Now we're going to keep trucking along with the horror games, and we can knock out a quick few. But for this next game, it's something that is considered one of the greatest movie adaptations to this day. Next, we are going to talk about Alien Isolation. Alien Isolation, made back in 2014, looks like a slow, tense survival nightmare where every sound matters and the xenomorph feels impossibly smart. Its atmosphere, stealth focus, and faithful recreation of the original film's vibe makes it stand out from all other horror games. Now, adding on to our horror wave, we are going to be jumping into another game that I have actually played before. Now, I never completed it as it was a little too scary for me, but I also was fairly young when it did come out. This one you may have completed, but I want to go ahead and try it back again myself. That game is going to be Outlast. Outlast 2013 looks like a full-blown panic attack in game form. All tight hallways, pitch black rooms, and a camera that's the only thing keeping you alive. Its non-stop tension, terrifying enemies, and found footage vibe makes it feel like an essential horror. This is one of the reasons why I'm both excited, but I am also dreading finally jumping back in. We're going to go ahead and take a step away from horror for a moment. This next game is still considered to this day the greatest indie of all time. I'm not big on platform games, but I am more than excited to get my toes wet for this one. That game is Celeste. Celeste, made in 2018, feels like a heartfelt, challenging climb where every tough platforming section is tied to a story about pushing through your own limits. The controls are sharp, the music is beautiful, and the emotional moments hit way harder than you expect from a pixel platformer. Now this next game is something that I am very excited for. Coming out at the end of December 2025, it has a mix between game mechanics from Telltale's The Walking Dead and having a little bit of anime in there. Now, you may not know me, but I love anime. I've seen many different shows, not only the Shonen Jumps, but as well as a couple of very small ones as well. Now, personally, it is something that I've been looking forward to for a while. It may jump up at the front of the list after I get done with Max Payne, but I am more than excited to give it a try. Next up, Dispatch. Dispatch, made in 2025, looks like a clever, character-driven superhero workplace story where you're not swinging from rooftops, but running the show from a desk. sending out heroes, managing their quirks, and trying to keep the city and your team together. It blends narrative choices with strategy and has a huge voice cast behind it, making it feel like an interactive animated series more than a traditional game. The unique concept and strong writing are exactly why I added it to my list and why I'm excited to finally jump in. Coming up next is a game from a franchise that helped revolutionize FPS shooters. Now, it's not something that I have tried before, but I have had many before me tell me how great it is. I've always wanted to give it a try, and knowing how many other games are in the series, I'm more than happy to go ahead and get my feet wet and really start pushing through it, depending on how it goes. Next game coming up, Wolfenstein: The New Order. Wolfenstein: The New Order, made back in 2014, looks like a brutal, story-driven shooter and blends intense combat with an unexpectedly heartfelt narrative. Its alternate history setting feels gritty and bold, the characters have real weight, and the mix of stealth and full-on chaos keeps things fresh. It seems like one of those FPS games that hits much harder than you would expect. Next coming up is something that I have been putting off for a very long time. Now, it is not because I don't want to touch it, but it is because I genuinely hate being bad at video games. I'm a competitive player, so playing something that I'm going to be dying consistently can typically change my mood a good bit. But I believe to be able to put my 2 cents in from a From Software game, I need to be able to start at the basics. And that game coming up is Dark Souls. Dark Souls from 2011 looks like a harsh, atmospheric journey where the world itself tells the story. Quiet, cryptic, and full of danger around every corner. The combat is deliberate, the exploration feels earned, and yeah, you're pretty much guaranteed to die over and over again as you learn the game's rhythm. It's the kind of experience people talk about for years, which is why I decided to finally add it to my list. Next is going to be something that I've been looking forward to. Now, it has been recommended to me by many people, and it is also considered one of the greatest hack and slash series of all time. Now, I personally have been very excited to come and check it out, and why not play the entire HD remaster? That game series is going to be Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry HD Remaster looks like a stylish, fast-paced throwback where the focus is all on flashy combos, sharp movement, and that classic early 2000s attitude. The gothic environments, over-the-top action, and pure style-first gameplay makes it feel like the perfect kind of retro hack and slash to finally catch up on. We are now going to be moving into our 22nd game, but it is also going to be our last game. Now, I believe one of the best ways to finish it off is with one of Square Enix's best. And no other way to say it, but let's go ahead and get right into it. Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X HD looks like a beautifully remastered dive into the world of Spira, where every town, dungeon, and battlefield is packed with story and emotion. From epic turn-based battles to character-driven side quests, the game balances grand adventure with deeply personal moments. The upgraded visuals and soundtrack make the world even more immersive. It is exactly the kind of RPG that draws you in, and why I'm very happy to make it the last game on this list. We have finally made our way to the end of the video. Now, before going further, I want to say thank you to every one of you that decided to even take a look at what I have to say, but at the same time, for those of you that stayed till the end. This is the second video that I ever made on my channel, and this took a lot of time to make, way more than I thought it was going to. But to be truthful, I'm really happy about what I did. I'm more than excited to take a look at every one of these games and really get to figure out what kind of gamer I really am. And besides that, if you do enjoy it, please feel free to subscribe, leave a like, and please leave a comment. I love talking to people about video games. I love talking about your own experiences, if you played the games that I've played, or if you have your own recommendations. The only thing I ask is no spoilers. Somehow I have not had a lot of these games spoiled for me, even going through this entire research, but at the same time, I'd like to be as fresh into it as possible. But besides that, again, thank you very much for staying, and as well as just more so stopping by. It was a lot of fun. I'll see you in the next one.